Hi, folks. This is Rick Doc Walker, the DOC.
This is John Kime, and you're listening to the Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted.
What's going on, Rally? You rested from that mini bye week?
Thank God we had the mini bye week, bro. Yeah, I am, but at the same time, it's like the more rest you get, the more tired you are. So I don't know. It's six in one hand, half dozen in the other. How about you? Did you have some good time being off?
Yeah, man, I watched zero football, which I know a lot of people think is crazy, but I watched no football. We weren't on. And someone will say, well, why didn't you watch a Cowboys game? Like, I watched the Cowboys game after on the All 22. I am not contributing to their ratings. I don't care if there's nothing on TV. I refuse to turn it on and be like, oh, they're America's team. Look, they're the most watched. No, I'm not going to do it. So I played pickleball. I watched pickleball, got a bunch of stuff done around the house. And now I'm kind of paying for it because I got to kick it into high gear and get ready for the tailgate on Sunday. Because every week I say it, this is going to be our biggest one yet.
And how many Cowboy fans are you allowing into this tailgate?
There are, I think, 6 or 7 total out of a couple hundred that are allowed to come out. And it's funny because on the RSVP, I put, if you're saying you're bringing a Cowboy fan, you're going to be verified or you're going to get your reservation canceled. And it's either a husband or a wife reaching out for their spouse or someone reaching out for their girlfriend or boyfriend because they cheer for the Cowboys, but yet, the person on the right side cheers for us. So they're begging, or my father-in-law is a huge Cowboys fan and I love my wife, but he came with her, so we can't leave him at home. Can he come hang out? So it'll be a group of like 5, and then one of them is one of them. So it's fine. In the past, we used to make them show their Texas ID. Now they're not from there, so it's just kind of a waste.
Yeah, well, a split household. I tell you, that's how it works nowadays, man. Everybody can't be on the right side, but it is what it is, and we keep it going, and to whatever makes their marriage or household work is not for us to say. So, but we're just gonna keep this thing rolling on into the next segment, brother. Let's do it.
Well, I'll say one thing: the ones that aren't married, think about a prenup. I'm just saying, just throwing that out there. It concerns me that they make bad choices in their lives, and you don't know how they're set up financially. So maybe keep your money separate for a little bit, and down the road you can rip that thing up. So, but
At least until we go back to the Super Bowl. How about that?
There you go. There you go. I mean, the way it's looking, we're going back a whole lot sooner than they are. I mean,
I tell you,
it doesn't feel like Dallas week to me. Maybe because of the mini bye, maybe because we lost 2 in a row, but it just doesn't feel like there's excitement. And I think it's because Dallas just sucks right now. But in the past, when we've sucked, it still felt like Dallas week. I don't know. Do you feel the same way, or is my social media just different from yours?
it's always hate Dallas week for me, brother. So I think it's just one of those things you just got to chalk it up. A lot of people are saying that because they said once the name changed, it was not Dallas week anymore. I can't get behind that. For me, hey, no matter what name we're under, I still hate Dallas, and that's just how it is. The other thing, I think, man, a lot of people uh, are trying to write us off a little bit, if you will. A lot of the fans they're scared now. We were flying high, feeling good, ought to be in Hollywood type of thing, and now these fans that I've seen, they're ready to. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them are ready to cancel Christmas, man. I'm like, you guys are just crazy. Yeah, we lost 2 games. It happens. But how do you respond after losing those 2 games? And what better way to do it against the Dallas Cowboys? And in the past, when we were limping, they didn't care. And they were riding high with their normal 12-4 season or 12-5 season. They didn't care. They put the mollywop on us, and we had to take it. Well, it looks like the tables have turned a little bit this year to where, they're saying, "Oh, woe is me, don't hurt us." And now it's our turn to say we don't care. we're gonna put the mollywop on you. It's your turn to get this beat down. So providing that we don't get the big head and allow a limping dog who's in the corner to bite us. We don't want that. But I'm hoping that we knock these guys out the box, man.
I'm right there with you, man. And I've got some concerns about the game. We'll get into it. It doesn't feel around the city from what I'm seeing. Like, I'm not seeing the Cowboys flags on people's cars, right? Just because their team's bad. Dak's gone and they're on a 5-game losing streak. I'm not seeing as much back and forth on X, or people are asking if we're going to get on Blue Sky. I don't know, y'all. I got enough time stuff. I've got like 5 Twitters and Instagrams and all this other stuff I'm managing. So we'll see. We'll see if we jump on that one too. I could use a program that can post on all of them at once versus having to do everything individually, because it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like it used to just a couple of years ago, and it definitely doesn't feel like it used to back when we were at RFK and then we want Dallas chants and then jumping up and down in the stands and making the place shake. But good news is, I know you've been out for a little bit. Have you heard the latest on the RFK news?
I heard something that another hurdle was made to where something about another senator jumped on board, or they gave the land back, or something to that effect. But educate me, brother. Educate me.
So, for those that haven't heard, the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee, who was the first step to actually get an actual Senate vote, approved with a large majority, bipartisan majority, which is key here, meaning both Republicans and Democrats agreed. And I want to say it was a 17-2. I don't have the exact numbers, that a vote should happen in front of the full Senate on giving DC the land for 99 years. So extending the lease. So there is a bill in front of the Senate that now has to be voted on. Right. So first it went to the House. That went through no problem because the Democrats ran the House. Well, right now, the Senate at this point has not voted the entire Senate, but they think that it can get done if it's attached to a larger bill. Not that if it's just a one-off bill, but the problem is this thing's got a deadline, right? When the Senate basically convenes later on in December, if it's not voted on by then, they got to start this entire thing all over again.
Mm.
So we will at least know by January if DC can possibly happen in the near future. If they don't vote by the Christmas holiday break, then it's done with, and it's going to have to get brought back up again once all the new House gets initiated in, the new Senate gets initiated in. So you start the entire process once again. But good news
Wow.
is we're in the red zone, kind of. I don't know if we're going for 3 or if we're going for a touchdown here. I mean, if it's Dan Quinn, it's 4th and 1, and we're going for it. So,
Going
you know,
for it. That's right.
we'll see what happens. But that's at least some positive news in regards to the stadium. It's not ironclad by any means, but it is a step in the right direction. And that senator from Montana that was bitching and moaning about not allowing it to happen has come to an agreement with the team and has stopped trying to fight this.
Well, that's good. That's really good to hear. You know, not that Rally Captain or Tailgate has a say in the stadium rebuild, but I would really like to see some renderings of the stadium, as well as our whole tailgate thing, because we've talked about this numerous of times, and I'll continue to say, for all of our big tailgaters, our space is going to dwindle. It's
Oh,
going to
big time.
be it's going to be dwindled down. And so I would love to see what their plans are for the parking lots to be able to bring that same aspect to the RFK site. And I know we don't have as much room or square footage that Northwest Stadium does, but you got to look out for your fans who enjoy tailgating, because that's something that they live forward to doing week in and week out. So help us out and just give us a small rendering so that we can feel good about ourselves because we know the prices are going to get jacked up and give us a little maybe a taste of what we can expect as far as ticket prices are concerned because it looks like this thing is going to happen. So that's all I would ask. What about you, man? What would you ask if you had your druthers right now? What would you ask of them?
I want to know. And so the problem is there's so many moving parts to this, right? Because it's going to be multi-use land. It's not going to be just for stadium, right? So that's going to take even more away from it, right? The RFK lot as it sits is only 190 acres. The FedEx
Hmm.
Field lot is a hell of a lot more than that, right? And they actually already own more than 200 acres out in PG County. But you're going to have hotels, you're going to have restaurants, you're going to have housing, right? That's what the DC City Council wants to put on top of a stadium. They want more revenue than what a football team can provide. Let's just say 16 or 20 times a year with concerts and things like that. They just announced Jelly Roll and Post Malone coming to Northwest next year, right? You know, they hope to have more than your occasional concert at this place where it can just bring in more revenue for the city because DC has so many borders inside. Like I'm looking for commercial real estate in DC right now for a project, right? And there's just a lot of moving parts to it, but it's not easy to find because DC is only so big and you can only build
Right.
so tall. So I don't know what's going to happen. And I think you came to the tailgate I was in Atlanta where they had the Home Depot lot. I think you might have stopped by.
Hmm.
You have to be invited to tailgate in that lot
Right.
by the Falcons, right? There's a lot of moving parts here that some people just don't know and don't understand or say, oh, well, that won't happen to us. Really? And if it does, then
Oh.
so be it.
Hmm.
But my concern is Maryland is pissed off because DC is basically going to, or they think is going to give them the land. They're not going to ask the owners to pay fair market value for the land. Maryland is mad about this because they can't compete with that. They have to charge the Commanders, the Harris Ownership Group, for the land, right? So that's why Maryland has been trying to fight this constantly. And I get where
Hmm.
they're coming from, but in regards to the land in DC, it just ain't that big. And if they're going to get that gift from DC, then are they going to then pass down other costs to the ticket owners, right? To us, the people that listen to this podcast. What are my PSLs going to be? Because I know you didn't pay for the land because DC gave it to you. So your cost shouldn't be as high. So make sure my PSL cost ain't going to be as high. Because if I can't tailgate like we tailgate, or if not everybody can do it, fans will still find a way to do something. You
Yeah.
know, people that live out there in Capitol Hill in that area, they'll just let you park in their driveways and charge you $100. You know, there's ways around that kind of stuff. But what I care about is what's it going to cost you for your seats? What's it going to cost me for my seats if this thing does get built out there?
Well said, man. Because we know ticket prices are going to go up.
Well, they're
They're
going up
already
this year.
they're
So
going. There you go. They're going up this year, and so and it goes to winning. When you win, you have a better product on the field. They expect to be paid more, and I'm happy, but I'm sad. How about that?
I mean, it went up last year and we didn't win, right? We won 4 games last year and they raised the price. So I just think it's the natural order of things where they're just raising the price on this. And it sucks. It's frustrating. And people are going to yell and scream, well, milk costs more, eggs cost more, right? Stuff like that. It's like, okay, yeah, no, I get it. The cost of living has gone up. You know, I'm looking at certain things for the tailgate this week. My sister's frying a turkey for Thanksgiving. And
Nice.
she's bitching and screaming to me about how much peanut oil costs. It was $35 and now it's 53. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. You know, prices go up. So I get that, but you got to give me more than a light show during a primetime game to justify raising these prices. Right?
Well,
I mean,
the switch costs a lot of money to do that, man. Don't you understand? To rewire it and the switches to go back and forth, like scratching the crossfader, that stuff costs money, man. So our ticket prices are going to go up because of that.
I mean, have you eaten at the grab and go stations at FedEx?
No.
Yeah, I haven't either. Right? A lot of these things that they have put inside, other than the new security magnometers, I don't see a ton of other. And I'm sure there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Shoot, I doubt you watch a Cowboys game, but I'm sure you might have heard a piece of the roof fell when they opened up the
Hmm.
roof right before the game.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that are falling apart around the stadium that we're not seeing from an architecture perspective just to keep the building up and running. That, okay, I get that stuff, but it would just be nice when they're making these improvements for some of it to trickle down to us, you know, Joe Blows in the general admission section, not just the guys in the club seats, in the loges, in the suites, or in the tunnel club, right? Give some of that stuff back down to us so we can actually see a little bit of a return on our investment.
Well, who knows? Maybe in the next couple of years that'll happen. But right now, uh, still getting things taken care of, making sure that that the older stadium, meaning Northwest Stadium, is up to par. You know, you got to put money into it because I know when I go, um, like during the week per se, to the team store or something, you see all kinds of engineer trucks and plumbing trucks and electrical trucks. You see all of them in the parking lot. So that's got to be paid some kind of way. So even though we may not see it one way, internally it's being taken care of.
Oh yeah, I'm going to enjoy Northwest as long as I possibly can
Yeah,
because I am scared that I'm going to have to get a home equity line of credit to pay for my PSL.
not a
Right.
HELOC.
I mean, they got some good rates, man. I mean, you and I, we can talk about that. Actually,
Yeah.
going through some processes, but between the FIFA World Cup tickets that are going to be coming because it's coming to the States and all these other hospitality packets, I gotta think about coming up with some money out of my ass somehow. But we'll see how it goes. Maybe betting on the Commanders this week against Dallas. Because did you see what the spread is?
I heard it's like 10 points or something like that.
It was 10 and a half last time I checked. And that scares me. And I think it
Yeah.
was minus 500. Let me pull it up right now to see what it's moved to. But to me, even though Dallas is banged up, it's just a lot of points to give up.
Hmm.
And we typically don't do too well against the Cowboys. And then just in division games in general. And I get that Dallas got their butts whooped. Yeah, it's 10 and a half points right now. So if you were to put down $10, you would get $9.52. But Dallas is getting a 10 and a half point lead, right? If you were to bet on the money line, meaning we just win, right? No point spread. If you put down $10, you get $1.92. So, it just doesn't make sense to risk that kind of cash,
Oh.
but everybody is picking us to kick Dallas's ass. And I mean, I get it. They're on a 5-game losing streak, right? They have not done a damn thing. There was talks about Cooper Rush getting benched and putting in Trey Lance. I'm actually happy that that's not happening because I think we got a better chance against Cooper, even though Cooper beat us. And I think it was 2022 when Dak was hurt. Cooper Rush did end up beating us. But Dallas has given up during its losing spree at least 27 points to their opponents each week, right? So that would lead you to believe that we can keep the trend up. We just haven't been, the past couple of weeks, our offense has just looked stagnant, right? We put up 18 against Philly and then 27 against the Steelers. So it's kind of right in the wheelhouse, but I don't know. Am I just being overly cautious about this, or you think there's a reason?
No, you're not being overly cautious because, as I said before, Dallas is a dog in the corner that's ready to bite. And we always said any given Sunday, Thursday, or Monday. So it could happen. And a lot of times, teams that have had these mini buys don't come out swinging the way that they should. They just aren't clicking on all cylinders. Hopefully that does not happen with us and that we are, but I still feel good about us winning. I just don't like all in like that.
Yeah, I agree with you. It worries me a little bit, and the offense just hasn't looked good. They haven't been executing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's the Kingsbury second half curse or if it's Jayden's health or other teams have film now against what Kingsbury likes to do with Jayden. This is actually what Kingsbury had to say about what's been preventing the offense from executing.
Cliff, what's prevented you guys from executing as an offense the way you'd like to the last couple of weeks, and how do you improve that?
In what regard? Obviously, the Thursday night game was not our best, but like when you just overall execution, would you say? Yeah, I think there's a lot of things. Played two really good defenses first off, and then just having the ability to be on the practice field, continue to get reps together and build. I think this is the first week we've been able to do that consistently as a unit, put in a full week, and so hopefully that pays off. But, still had a chance in the fourth quarter. Our guys battled even when we weren't playing our best, which I appreciated. But just nailing the details, calling better plays. I mean, overall, collectively as an offense, we can be better. And I think a week of real practice will help that.
So there's been a big narrative about practice, and that's what the problem is, right? And I don't know if I'm buying it 100%. Our last show, we talked about Jayden just didn't look right. Jayden just didn't look healthy, right? And they should have pulled him. They should have sat him. Well, the first thing Dan Quinn said on Monday morning when he came back, because after the Eagles game, he didn't have a press conference until Monday. I don't know if he went to go take some time off, and I highly doubt it because it's during the football season, but they didn't bother talking again until Monday. And the first thing he said out of his mouth, which makes me feel that Dan listens to the podcast, was this.
So I want to first start off by saying, clearly and honestly, Jayden is not injured right now, but we did lose valuable practice time, John, with him and his teammates when he was injured. And that's hard on all the guys. It's a really, really important part of what we do, and we don't have banked reps in years. So we're very much looking forward to getting back onto a full week and regular practice sessions with the guys. So over the last few weeks, we've had to, put that together in small bits. So that's what I think into that space. And as we're heading into this week, we're looking forward to getting a full week of our practice and, work the things that we need to.
So did you hear what stood out to me when he said Jayden's not injured?
What stood out to you?
He said right now. Jayden's not injured right now. And looking at the injury report for this week, Thursday's report, I don't think has come out. It might have, but I haven't seen it. But regardless, Jayden's not on the injury report. Yeah, I'm looking at it from yesterday's, the latest one I've got. Jayden's not on the report. He has been on there recently, and this is actually a tweet from JP Finley. Dan Quinn said Jayden Daniels' lack of practice reps has been a factor for Commanders' offense. DQ's got a point. Jayden injured ribs on October 20th, wasn't listed as a full practice until 11/1. Then assumed 3 full practices before Steelers game on 11/10. Then basically no practice before Eagles. So in a month since the rib injury, Jayden has 4 full practices. So that's what DQ was saying is wrong with the offense. That's basically what Kingsbury was saying. What he's looking forward to getting the offense more kickstarted is a full week of practice. Are you buying it?
Yes and no. The old adage is practice makes perfect. And if you aren't doing it, then there's no way that you can get better at it. There's also that saying that, well, I shouldn't say saying, but there's also the thing is you guys are pros. I mean, this offense. You've been doing this offense since, July, June time frame. So what are you missing? So but it goes back to something that you said, Ted. The NFL, it doesn't take long to get film on you and to realize what you do well and what you don't do well. And if we can put you in situations of taking away of what you do well and making you hypothetically, if you're a right-handed dribbler, make you dribble with your left hand, that's gonna slow you down a little bit. So if teams are finding that out, it's now time for our offensive coordinators to come up with another plan and reignite the young man. I'm hoping that he's healthy. And you put yourself in a little bit of a situation when you say he's healthy now, because if the play on the field continues to be bad per se, the Commanders fan base will turn into a Philadelphia fan base. And what I mean by that is you're going to hear some boos. Philadelphia will their fan base, they will boo their team in a heartbeat. And if we continue to do what we're doing and the play stays the same, the boo birds are going to come out.
Yeah, and during Kingsbury's press conference, I think it was David Harrison that asked him a question that Kingsbury kind of danced around. Harrison asked him about heavy tendencies. And when he said heavy tendencies, I thought Harrison was talking about going kind of 12 personnel, 13 personnel, bringing in Trent Scott, going jumbo. No, he was basically criticizing Kingsbury, or that there are people out there that are criticizing Kingsbury because he is lining people up in the same spot. He's not moving people around, specifically Terry, right? And that other teams can easily prepare for it. And Kingsbury didn't want to answer the question saying, well, if I talk about that, that's going to give our competition a leg up. But if other people are seeing this, right, then obviously a team that is being paid to watch all of our film and find ways to slow us down and stop us are going to know that, right? Is Quinyon Mitchell from the Eagles that much of a freaking badass? Or are we too vanilla? And do they know what's coming now on top of him being a good player, right? And I feel that it's that, right? It's Kingsbury has simplified the offense to a degree so a rookie like Jayden can get it, hit the ground running, and not be confused. But now it just concerns me that he's not throwing wrinkles in around it that are making it more complicated for defenses to prepare for.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. The time has come. We're in that second part of the season to where you got to put the wrinkles, as you quote, into the playbook, because the film tells you everything that you need to know about us, and it seems as though this whole spy aspect of things with Jayden, with him being slightly banged up, is paying dividends. And I hate to say that, but I mean, the proof is in the pudding. The tape doesn't lie.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles and Steelers, two of the top defenses in the league, right? We're lucky because we're going against Dallas. Dallas is 31st in points per game. They're 27th in yards per game, right? They are not a good defense. And they've got, a bunch of issues over there. In regards to scoring, they're not scoring a ton. So teams are putting up points against them. So that way, hey, Dallas has become one-dimensional, right? They are giving up, let's see here, 48% are pass plays against these guys, right? 51% are rush plays. Teams are rushing against them at that point. They are giving up 151 yards on the ground, which is 31st. Our run game has not been what it needs to be the past couple of weeks. And I think a lot of that has to do with the offensive line being banged up. JP Finley talked about in that Eagles game, post game, that he saw linemen struggling to get their shoulder pads off, right? They were just grimacing in pain at that point just because they're banged up. And we got a week 14 bye. But hopefully, fingers crossed, O-line's healthy now. And this is actually what DQ had to say about the O-line's health.
Speaking of the difficult moments, that O-line was really beat up, I think, Pittsburgh going into Philly. How much did the break help? Can we get a little specifics on Biotish and Wiley?
All are on the offensive line are full practice.
So the injury report just dropped for today, 40 seconds ago. The only person from the O-line that is on there is Brandon Coleman, and it's his thumb, and he's been a full participant the past 2 days. So those that might not remember, Wiley didn't play against the Steelers and was definitely banged up against the Eagles. He's not on this. Biotis came out during the Steelers game and was banged up against the Eagles, and he's not on this. So fingers crossed, that means our O-line is as good as they possibly can be with this little mini bye week. One frustrating thing about the injury report was seeing Marshawn Lattimore's name again. And he was a DNP. This is now the third game that I don't think Lattimore is going to play. He was a DNP on Wednesday, also a DNP on Thursday. And if he hasn't even been a limited participant, who knows? He might be able to. I just highly doubt it. And maybe we don't need him against Dallas. I think that's, bias saying that, because Dallas still has some good receivers and Cooper Rush can still throw the freaking football, right? They still got CeeDee over there, right? And if we could just double team CeeDee Lamb, or we're going to have to double team CeeDee Lamb, and that's just going to free up a spot for them to potentially gain some yards on the ground. And Joe Witt Jr. said the one thing that he wants his defense to do is stop the run. An easier way to stop the run is not having to double team CeeDee Lamb and focus on shutting down the running attack. And are you frustrated that we're going into now the third game potentially without Lattimore?
No. And I'll tell you why. You can't miss what you never had. Yes, he's on the team, but it's not like he came in to camp, healthy, and then he went out on the injury. We're so quick to want to have a guy come back, but if he's not healthy, let him stay where he is. It's the same thing I said about Jayden. If he's not healthy, put him on the bench. I believe that Mariota is a capable quarterback. Lattimore, we let's look at why we really brought him in. We brought Lattimore here basically for the playoffs. And if by chance the Commanders make the playoffs, and I'm going to say if by chance because nothing is written in stone, if by chance we make the playoffs and he emerges and allows us to win games in the playoffs, then what was all the bitching about? Let the man get healthy, because that's why he was brought here, not, if you will, meaningless games in the season. I do want him to play, and I think he will play, but just let him get healthy for when they say that the Commanders have a playoff berth.
So according to the Washington Post and Neil Greenberg, who's a stats guy that I love following his stuff, he's basically not allowed to bet at different sports books for certain dollar amounts because the guy is just always right. And it's some of the stuff that he comes up with on his bets. I mean, I don't want to say they're guarantees, but I feel like they are. And when I've gone with him, I haven't lost anything. So the Post has us making the playoffs at 93%, right? We are right now, if the playoffs were to start today, we're the 7th seed and we're going to Philly and playing Philly for the third time for the year, right? The chance for us to win the division is 9%. Now, all of that can change. Philly still has to play the Rams, the Steelers, the Ravens. They've got some other teams. The problem is Philly ends the season with, I think, the Cowboys and the Giants. So that part sucks. I mean, you can pretty much guarantee those now that Tommy DeVito's in and Daniel Jones isn't allowed to play anymore or do anything, and he's third string. But I agree with you because we don't know what we had, because Lattimore wasn't here to start off. It is frustrating, though, because we don't need him potentially right now. I mean, we're a 10.5-point favorite this week. So you would think we should be able to beat these guys. And you've got fans now that are saying, well, if we don't beat Dallas by 15 points, it's not really a win. Like, what? What are you talking about? Like, as long as we win by a point, that's all that matters, right? As long as we make it to the postseason, that's all that matters. It is frustrating, though, in the near term that nothing is happening with it, but knowing that Lattimore is not a one-year rental, that he is here for the foreseeable future because he is under contract, I'm okay with it, right? The defense has not been what lost us games. the defense didn't lose us the Eagles game, in my opinion. The offense lost us the Eagles game because they could not move the ball, could not convert on third down. And Benjamin St. Juice basically gave up that long ass play to the Steelers, and the offense wasn't able to convert on a couple of key moments. The defense has actually been stepping up, and he's part of that, even though he's not actually playing.
I got to tell you, Ted, I felt that our secondary, with the adjustments that they made with Sam Steele, with they showed me everything I needed to see, and I felt more confident with them on the field. I kept telling the person who was sitting next to me at the Eagles game, you know, I'd rather die death by 1,000 paper cuts, and that's what they did. They gave us 1,000 paper cuts. They never really got a good passing game out on us, so I was happy about that. The deep ball never happened, and when they did go deep, we broke it up. So I was very happy with that. And if we can go into these next games with the same mentality, the same secondary, I think we'll be okay. And it'll just be an added bonus when he does make the cut to get healthy enough to be on the team. What worries me, Ted, in all honesty, is we got to have a dog besides Terry.
Yeah.
That's what kind of worries me. And I did hear that we brought someone into the practice squad, some 6'5" guy. But it just we need more. And so I need to see more on that aspect versus the defense, because I swear the defense to me is starting to figure it out.
I mean, Jayden he wasn't accurate that Eagles game, right? And we talked about his health. DQ says he's healthy right now, that it was because of practice. But how can you tell me that because he only practiced a couple times, he had to throw? He forgot how, hit Noah around when Noah was wide open. He just threw it at Noah's feet. And there was just times where it didn't work out. And then people were, you didn't know about his ribs getting wrapped, right? And I sent it to you online, and it's been happening past couple of weeks, right? And the junkies and people were talking about it like, no, it's just an ace bandage. Well, this is actually Jayden talking about why he's been having his ribs wrapped.
Jayden, I know fans are wondering, during the game, in between drives, you put on this wrap on your ribs. What does that do for you, and why do you do that?
It's to stay warm. I mean, it's getting later in the years, it gets colder. You don't want your body parts to get cold, so it's just to stay warm.
I don't know if I buy it, man. And maybe he's doing it just to stay warm, but I'm just used to quarterbacks throwing on those 7X jackets and sitting next to those heaters and this and that, not actually putting an actual heat wrap underneath your ribs or right where your ribs are. So it's just, I feel that it's a narrative that they're trying to push, that just all the pieces of the puzzle aren't adding up for me. But really all that matters is he okay this week? Do we actually bounce back? And you're going to have people that say, oh, you just beat a crappy Cowboys team. Well, we can only play who the hell's on our schedule, right? I mean, what kind of win is it going to take for people to finally give us a break? Maybe it's Philly round 2. I don't know. But do you think he's wrapping them just because he's trying to stay warm on the sideline?
I can't say to one way or the other. The biggest thing that I want is just a healthy Jayden. And I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on television, but I got to tell you, it doesn't look good. Optics don't look good. We talk about body language. We talk about, guys coming off the field a certain way. It just doesn't look good. And the only way that you stop the narrative behind that is you don't do it. Or you put him in the tent or something, or I don't know, his individual tent, and do it. But as long as the public can see it, you're going to have a public opinion. And so I don't like it, but at the same time, it's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. If it works for him, fine. If he's hurt, don't play him. That's just how I feel.
Yeah. And something's going on, whether it is because of practice. And we'll know. I mean, this week, they're getting a full week of practice in, right? We play 3 games in 30 days. We got the Cowboys this week. We got the Titans. Then we got the bye. Right? I mean, the schedule is finally turning around and favoring us. Tennessee's coming here. We're just going down to New Orleans after the bye, which isn't that far to go. Right? We don't have to travel far at all this season in general or for our remaining game. So who knows? That 9% chance of us still winning the division, I'm not sure if I would give it 9%. I think it'd be higher than that, but I still think we're a playoff caliber team. I still think that we're going to make the playoffs. I'm concerned about hosting a playoff game. I'm not sure how that's going to happen. I think the NFC North is going to beat up on itself, so maybe things are going to shake out. It is frustrating that we were the second ranked team in the NFC, and now we're the seventh ranked team in the NFC in just 2 weeks, 2 games in less than 6 days. So it is what it is. But in regards to the NFL power rankings, we were 8th, right? We were 5th against the Steelers. Then we went down to 8th after we lost to the Eagles. Where do you think we ended up?
11.
Plus or minus 2. I'll give it to you, man. We are at 10th at this point. And it's hard not to notice the downward trend the Commanders' attack has been on since Jayden Daniels suffered a rib injury in Week 7. The problem is they need their offense to carry them past their defensive issues. A step up in competition might be a factor. Either way, for the first time since September, we're starting to see some cracks in their armor. They're a miraculous Hail Mary away from having 3 losses in their past 4 games, with 2 narrow wins over teams with losing records, keeping them afloat in that span. Washington continues to have an 81% chance of making the postseason per Next Gen Stats, but a lack of consistent playmakers and an inability to finish off games is a bit concerning. Facing the Cowboys and Titans at home gives the Commanders a chance to rebound. If they continue to struggle to move the ball or put points on the board, then it might be time to worry. In these next 2 weeks, I think we're going to find out, have we just been pretending this entire time? I think that's what we're going to know by the time the bye week comes.
Are we pretenders or are we contenders? And the only way that we can stop that whole narrative is to go out and play football. No ifs, ands, buts about it. We've got to go out there, and I'm not even going to say dominate. Just play football and win football games. If we win by a point, it doesn't matter. You won. At the end of the day, no one is going to say, well, they've won by 1 point or they won by 100. It's not going to matter. What matters is W's and L's, and I'm hoping for the dub.
Yeah, and without jumping into it, I feel that, all that matters is we get the win this week. If it's not pretty against the Cowboys, then so be it. Because to me, it's very difficult for a division to really be a blowout. Dan Quinn knows the Cowboys, right? He went up against that Cowboy offense for how many years when he was over there, right? This should give our defense a major freaking uplift going against those guys, right? Cleveland Farrell, Doris Armstrong, those guys were over there, right? Beatus, he was over there. We have former players over there. Joe Witt was over there, right? And I'm sorry, I don't think it's a shock that the Cowboys are horrible now when we pulled away 2 of their defensive coaches and a bunch of their players. They're just not doing well at this point. But one person that's still over there that concerns me is Micah Parsons. And he hasn't been having the, all-pro year that he has in the past, but the guy is a game wrecker. And he has that spying ability or speed, if you will, to kind of bottle up Jayden. This is what Kingsbury had to say about how you game plan against Micah.
Let's ask you about Micah Parsons. How do you guys account for him this week?
Yeah, Mike is a game wrecker. He's one of those. I thought Jalen Carter had a tremendous game against us. He was awesome and put us behind the chains several times. And Mike is the guy who can do the same thing. And if you don't have a plan for him, every snap, it takes one snap for him to take the ball away, and all of a sudden, it can be a long day. So he's a guy you got to have a plan for. He's dynamic, plays hard, and he's one of the a handful of guys in the league that can really change a game by himself.
Micah is over there, and he is still someone that, worries me because in the past, he has just kicked our ass. This year, looking at his grades, he's missed week 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Last week against the Texans, his PFF grade was a 69.7. The week prior to that, though, against the Eagles, he was a 90.5, right? So which Micah Parsons are we going to get? What's going to happen? There were points during the offseason where Micah was talking about Dan Quinn, and, people were kind of hypothesizing that, oh, can we get Micah to come here? I don't know. I don't care. All I know is we just need to make sure we account for that guy and we don't let him give whatever Cowboy fans are at this stadium a chance to cheer.
Well, what we know is this. If you keep him in the game, he'll break your back. But if you demoralize him early, he won't. He's a man who has feelings like everybody else, and who knows, this could be one of those times where he makes a business decision to slow down a little bit. We won't know until kickoff at 1:00, but I'm looking forward to it, and I think that our squad can handle him. Just play our game.
So for you, the Commanders win if. Give me 3 things we have to do to make sure that we beat these guys.
Well, one thing that came up is our defense has the offense has to move the ball so that our defense can stay rested. I think that Philadelphia just wore us down. I'm not going to say we had the game won because we didn't, but we had we were looking pretty, if you will, and our defense got tired because the offense couldn't move the ball. So offense has got to move the ball. We've got to put the brakes on CD because although he doesn't have Dak, as you said, he's still CD. He still has a great set of hands that can hurt you. And we also have to finally, if we can, we talked about it, rush as a team and not individually. When you and Rush can hurt you with his legs too. He's not a big runner, but if you rush as an individual, he'll tear you up and give himself more time to throw the ball down the field to his receivers. But if you rush as a team, you can bottle them up and confuse them. So those are my 3. What about you?
I agree with you. I mean, the offense on 3rd down has just been bad, right? We were 3 for 12 against the Eagles. We cannot do that. We were 5 for 14 against the Steelers. We cannot do that. We were winning games before because we had long sustaining drives that were wearing people down. Now that's happening to us, right? People are just thinking, okay, because it's, Cooper instead of Dak, it's just a guaranteed win. Sorry, Cooper Rush has won games as a starter in this league. I mean, trying to go back and see, I think Cooper's 5-2 as a starter. He knows how to win in the NFL, right? And he can win this game this week. So we got to make sure our offense can sustain drives and give the defense a break. The Cowboys have been throwing on 67% of plays. It's because they've been out of games, right? We turn them one-dimensional. We don't give them a chance to confuse our defense and keep things moving. And our guys get a chance to pin their ears back and just sack the hell out of Cooper, right? Just make sure we're good. And 3rd, just play our football, right? Just stop trying to be cute. Just play our type of football. Enough with this flea flicker, just BS crap that Kingsbury's trying to throw in. Just go back to what worked in the earlier parts of this season and just execute. If you just execute the game plan, we're going to win. Just don't shoot yourself in the foot, right? We have had some stupid penalties and just dumb execution lately from an offensive side of things. And we're lucky the defense has bailed us out. Other than, you felt that Saquon was going to get his, and it just was a matter of time because the offense lost the momentum. But if they keep it, we'll be fine. and we'll get a chance to actually have a home field advantage. Did you see the stat that the Commanders tweeted out the other day?
No, I haven't seen these stats.
It was a picture, right? Talking about bringing the noise. 8 false starts, 3 delays of game caused by the fans, right? That's another thing that we're going to need at that stadium, right? We're not going to be flooded by Steelers fans. I don't know if Eagles fans are coming down for that Eagles game coming up, but I don't think we're going to be flooded by Cowboys fans because their team sucks. They're not coming to our stadium and they're not going to be flaunting their stuff, right? We get a chance to actually make an impact, and we have made an impact this season. I mean, the team tweeted it out 21 hours ago, right? If the fans get behind this team and just ignore all the noise and bring our own noise, we're going to be straight, man. I mean, I think we pull this dub off. I think it's going to be a convincing dub, and it shuts some people up that have been talking about it. I mean, how do you think it's going to end on Sunday?
I'm hoping, in all honesty, Ted, that, as you said, we play our style of football, and I think it's going to be closer than what people think, unfortunately, simply because we have got to learn how to win again. And I think that until we can get back into that winning rhythm, it's going to be a little bit closer than what people think or may want.
No, I don't think we're covering a 10.5-point spread, but I do think we beat these guys, and I don't think the game is going to be in question because our O-line is healthy, because guys have had a time to catch a break and get some rest, and because Dan Quinn knows what Mike McCarthy teams like to do. And their coordinator has been over there. Let's see, their offensive coordinator, Brian Schottenheimer's been there for 3 seasons. Guess what? Dan Quinn was preparing against his offense every day in practice for 3 seasons, right? So we talk about Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury, and Kingsbury knowing what Murray likes to do. Well, best be sure Dan Quinn and Joe Witt know what Mike McCarthy and Brian Schottenheimer like to do. And I think that is a difference maker for us this week.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. All I know is we got 2 days in a wake up, and we're going to be witnessing whether the Commanders go up in the division, win another game in the division, or they plummet. And I'm hoping that we go up. I really am, because there's nothing better than I want to do than talk trash to the Cowboy fans who already are giving me the excuses. Oh, we're hurt, we're this, we're that. Don't care. Don't care. You're an NFL football team. You deal with it.
Amen, man. Amen. We've been banged up too. Eagles fans, Eagles didn't care that we're going into that game bruised and battered. So it's part of football.
Whoa, I hear the music playing. Thank you guys for riding with us. Another episode is coming to an end. I'll see you guys at the stadium. And I still haven't had an opportunity to get my video footage down. I may bring out the camera again for this week for another one, and maybe just make a montage of the Steelers and the Cowboys game, because the parking lots are going to be crowded. They're going to be crazy packed. So, and the weather's going to be good as well. So I look forward to seeing everybody through the tailgates. And remember, you rep it hard, or you don't rep it at all. Rally Captain, Tailgate Ted. We'll see you at Northwest Stadium. 2 days in a wake up. We're out.